is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
As we await the start of President-elect Trump's second administration, speculation is swirling over how it will set itself apart from Trump's first go at the job. There are many faces being tapped to join this administration that weren't there the first time. The political dynamics are also different, with Republicans now controlling both chambers of Congress. There are still questions over how some proposed economic policies will be felt by average Americans desperate to cut the cost of living, and how soon that happens. Will there be seismic shifts to the country's bureaucratic structure? Will some departments like education be eliminated? And with a no-nonsense approach to crime and immigration, what does enforcement look like? So let's bring it back to our panel. First, what are the biggest questions that each of you all have in terms of the policies that are being proposed? Trey, I'll let you start.
I think how far is the reach on the deportation of illegal immigrants going to go? It's going to be fairly easy to. We have a fair number of illegal immigrants who are currently sitting in U.S. jails. We have possession of them. We can send them back to the countries they came from right now. They're criminals. They broke the kind of deal that we had with them coming in the country anyways, whether they're illegal immigrants or not. They're easy to send back. So the question is, how far does the Trump administration intend to go with rounding up other people, whether they're proven criminals who just happen to not currently be incarcerated, or are they going to go further and just any illegal immigrant, period? I think there's questions as both to the logistics, legal question marks, and just the capabilities of getting these people, locating them, and sending them back. I think that'll be really something to watch, because it sounds like they intend to do that day one.
Jared, what are you watching for?
Well, I'm watching for that to see if they use the military for that. I think Rand Paul just came out and said he was not for using the military for this. I'm, at RFK Jr., if he gets the Health and Human Services, what's really going to happen there? Is he like just a little Trump Jr. saying crazy stuff but not really going to follow through with it? Is he going to ban Coke Zero? If he bans Coke Zero, he can pry it from my cold dead hand. So I don't really know what's going to go, and I'm actually kind of worried. Like cancer research, he's talked about stopping all cancer research.
I'm going to get sent to an Adderall camp, apparently.
You are going to get sent to an Adderall camp. That is correct. So that is concerning. Abolishing the Department of Education sounds draconian, and first of all, I hope he doesn't do it, but there's a lot of stuff that the Department of Education does that can't go away unless it's a congressional vote, so other departments would have to administer that. Now, they are talking about cutting a lot of Title I and II funds. That's got a lot of schools scared.
With a lot of the more flashy names that you're seeing being tapped for some of these positions, you think Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk taking over this Department of Government Efficiency, I mean, how much of that is an actual real job, or is it going to be more perfunctory? I mean,
you saw Obama have a lot of czars of stuff, and they didn't really do that much. They were kind of there, and they would chair task forces and panels and things of that nature. But a lot of the stuff that you would, if you're really going to do government efficiency, a lot of those things would, like Jared said, would require acts of Congress in order to get rid of a lot of these programs. Now, none of it needs to happen, because over the years, there's one thing that politicians love to do, which is create new programs, because then they go back home and brag about this great new program I created for you. The problem is that a lot of times they overlap with other programs, and nobody wants to repeal things that already exist. So I do think that there's a lot of duplicative programs that you could combine. But again, some of that's going to require acts of Congress. So I don't know how much of this is going to be chairing a task force and how much of it's going to be actually doing things.
Well, we got 1 minute left, so I want you to jump in here, but also I want us to address the economics of the next administration, because with the tariff policies that are being floated, there's a lot of questions over what that will actually look like for the American consumer.
Well, if you think groceries were expensive before, deport half the farm workforce overnight and watch what your grocery prices will be.
And put tariffs on imports.
And put tariffs on imports. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. Both those policies don't make sense together. And so, I mean, I'd be concerned. I'd be really concerned what's going to happen. Because, tariffs are going to be passed off to the consumer. Groceries are going to spike again. Like, people that are struggling and on the margins of society are going to have a really tough time.
There's a proposal out there to give Congress the power to have to approve tariffs. I think that might be a good idea at this point in time, although there is something to be said about tariffs as kind of a cudgel in diplomatic negotiations, but the actual instituting of them is not always the best thing.
All right. We'll have to wait and see, you all. Thank you both for your insight. We'll be right back.